Wall Street has high expectations for this internet stock.
The darlings of the stock market.
It was the IPO heard round the world.
The stock rocketed on its debut.
One of the most successful IPOs of all time.
And by 4 o'clock, it soared to almost $63.
I think that was the day that you know your life's changed forever.
Charity plus video equals Chideo.
It really is about charity here on Chideo.
Hi, I'm Bradley Cooper. Welcome to Chideo.
Chideo.
Chideo. Hey, we're here to do what you want on Chideo.
You and I get to change the world together.
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is a wonderful organization.
So help the Clinton Foundation improve lives around the world.
Charles J. Cooper Patient Support Fund, which was established in the memory of my father.
I picked the Mona Foundation as my charity for Chideo.
The charity that I'm passionate about is called Crisis Text Fund. It's an amazing organization.
Make sure you give so we can keep supporting our community.
From the Chideo chair.
Hey, that was high.
You are going to get an all-expense-paid trip. The plane ticket.
A hotel room.
Tickets to both London shows.
It was the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
What do you do at Chideo? You check out cool videos. By checking out cool videos, you will support important charities. That is so easy, Jennifer. Just say it.
So you saw a little bit on the video of the things that I've done with the last few years of my life, and I thought about what to say to you all today. You know, I could talk about the state of media or the movie business or my opinions on philanthropy or my new startup, Chideo, please check that out, by the way, chideo.com. Download the app. Or where I think technology is headed over the next few years. But then I thought more about what I think today really means for you all. And I decided to call this talk a journey, not a destination. Because to me, what you saw on that sizzle reel is the culmination of a journey that began where I grew up, which was Gary, Indiana. So I decided to let that journey be today's topic and not the destination and all the other topics I might now cover, because that is where you guys are in the early stages of that journey. Whenever I hear entrepreneurs or business people tell their story, it's always a wild roller coaster ride of ups and downs, left turns, right turns, the unforeseeable path. And mine is no different. So let's take a step on this little journey. So I grew up, as I said, in Gary, Indiana, which is a very blue-collar steel mill town about 30 miles from Chicago. I went to college at Indiana University, where my parents had gone to school. And I think, frankly, the only reason I went to college, and I'm sure a lot of you are feeling this now, is because my parents drummed it into my head ever since I was a kid that education was important. You know, I was never keen on the sciences like my dad was or my sister, so I decided to be a business major. Now, in those days, you only had 3 choices. You guys have a lot more choices today, but back then there were 3 if you wanted to be a business major: accounting, finance, or marketing. I'd heard accounting was the most difficult, so I chose that. My senior year of college, I had an internship in Chicago at KPMG, the big accounting firm. But I realized pretty quickly that being an auditor was not going to be my life's work. What to do? The journey begins. So I decided, like any young person, to delay the decision and go to law school. I attended the University of Virginia in Charlottesville and figured out pretty quickly that being a law student wasn't very appealing to me, and frankly wanted to quit. But I'm not a quitter, so I stuck it out. But now what? So I finished and set off to Dallas, convinced that I would just work a few years in the real estate business and then transition to the business side. You see, the master plan for me, so this journey again, was that I was going to be a real estate lawyer for a couple of years, and then some fancy schmancy real estate developer like a Trammell Crow or Lincoln Properties would hire me away, and that would be my path to fame and fortune. Well, there was just one problem. There had been an economic downturn in Texas and around the country, and you'll find out they happen fairly often. So there was no real estate development. I was actually doing foreclosures, loan modifications, and an occasional bankruptcy thrown in. I'd taken a job at Aiken Gump in Dallas, and again figured out pretty quickly that being a lawyer was not going to be my life's work. If you're seeing a theme here, I hope you do see it. Life is not a straight line. So I switched law firms to see if that fixed the problem. It didn't. And after 7 years as a lawyer, I had made partner in the Dallas office of Hopkins and Sutter. But I realized it wasn't the law firm, but being a lawyer that wasn't appealing to me. I was the proverbial round peg in a square hole. I was always more comfortable hanging out with my clients on the business side than the lawyers on the other side who, and I apologize if there's any lawyers in the audience, who wanted to argue about commas and whereas clauses. So I spent the next year taking meetings with anyone and everyone from the business community who would meet with me, from venture capitalists to private equity to investment bankers. The problem was no one wanted to give me a job. They didn't want to give me a chance on the business side because my resume said I was a lawyer, even though I'd been a business major in college, and my heart was definitely to be in the business side of the world. But what to do? Well, we're back to the journey again. What do? You start your own business. In one of my meetings, I reconnected with a guy I'd known from college. He had sold his first business and was living out in LA. but still deep down wanting to go after it again. That friend said words that ring in my ear to this day. He said, "If you find something interesting, I'll do it with you." And I encourage each of you, by the way, as you go into businesses down the road, having a partner is a very good thing to have. Somebody that has a complementary skill set to yours, somebody who looks at the world a little bit differently than you do, is a very good thing in business. Well, about 6 months later, as the internet was kind of heating up, I found that interesting thing that eventually became broadcast.com. We, of course, were the first to stream audio and video in the world. So every business you see today from YouTube on down is from that business. And of course, that friend I sat with that day was Mark Cuban, my eventual business partner, now going on almost 20 years. You guys probably know him now from the Shark Tank. So I resigned from the law firm with my corner office partner, my boss, telling me I'd never make it on the business side. I'd be begging for my old job back in a few months. And I always joke that no one hired Mark and I to run the company that we did. And I had already found that out. So when you have people tell you that you can't do it or you're not qualified to do it, I would not listen. I would always say, in my heart, if this is something I want to do, I would go after it. You know the ride from startup to IPO to eventual sale to Yahoo, starting my foundation, starting a media company, and my newest venture, Chitio, has been an incredible journey. So I eventually discovered that what to do meant to persevere, to take the right and left turns as part of my life's journey, and to believe, as I had since college, that something special would come of my life. And I want you guys to believe that as well, that something very special lies ahead for you. That all of these life experiences and education I had garnered in business and in law would actually prepare me perfectly for what lie ahead in my journey. But I didn't know it. And that is the entrepreneurial spirit, to ignore the odds and charge ahead. You saw in there, if you're watching, to believe the harder I work, the luckier I get. To make fear of failure and dread of doing something you're not meant to do for the rest of your life exceed the fear of the unknown. I tell young people all the time, your job right now is simple. It's to get an education, to keep as many doors open as possible for as long as you can as you explore your life's journey. You don't want large numbers of doors slammed on you or closed in your face while you're discovering where life is going to take you. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. We can all come up with those names, but they are few and far between, and not a path I would recommend for anyone. For I believe big success comes at the intersection of luck, timing, hard work, and smarts. They must meet at the same time, and then crazy things happen. In closing, I'm often asked by aspiring entrepreneurs, as that ultimately is what my life journey has been, is discovering that I was meant to be an entrepreneur. So they ask me, should they do it? Are they ready? And I ask them two questions. Now, you guys are a little before this time in your life, but these are the questions I ask people when they get out of school. First question I ask them is, are you willing to quit your full-time wage-paying day job? And if they respond to me, no, I'd like to just kind of do it at night and on weekends, I know they aren't ready. Second question, are you willing to invest your own money into the venture? Again, if they tell me, no, I'm looking for those like angel investors like you or venture capitalists or others that can put money in, then I know they're not ready. Because the true way to have success is that fear. And as long as you can swim back to shore, it's never going to be the same experience as when you let go. So if it's yes to both, and only if it's yes to both, do I say full steam ahead. So thanks for allowing me to share my journey with you here today. I hope that it helps you see it's never a straight line. There are always hills to climb, left turns to make, but that's the thrill of the journey. Thank you very much.